Hey everyone, it's Melody with Design by Melody. I have the first part of my March 2014 Project Life spread, and this is actually a challenge response to our Project Life Inspiration Facebook group. And the challenge was to grab 3 items from your stash, it could be old or new, either way, and just use them to make a spread. Now these are things that maybe you want to use up or things you just haven't gotten around to using yet. So what I picked are these basic gray capture, well, it was an embellishment pack, like a waterfall type of embellishment pack. So I pulled out that pack. I also pulled out my Snap Studio Alphas. These are the simple story ones, and I've had these in my stash for quite some time. Now these are kind of one of those things that I wanted to use up. The capture embellishment pack was something I hadn't used at all yet. And then this last thing are, it's a pile of miscellaneous Project Life cards that were sent to me in a rack, which is a random act of kindness if you don't know what that is. I had someone send me a bunch of supplies, and these, I know those, I think 4 of those 4x6 cards were actually from the I Am collection. And then the rest of these, I'm not sure where they're from. Some of them were cut apart from a piece of paper. Some of them were actual cards, and just from different places. So I'm going to use those as my 3 items, and I'm just fast forwarding the video here so it will go a little bit faster. I had to turn on a YouTube video for me to watch when I scrapbook. I do that a lot when I'm scrapbooking, is I turn on a video and I use it as inspiration. Kind of feels like I'm in the room scrapping with someone else, so it's kind of fun to actually do that. Now I'm just laying out my photos here. I always start this way. I sort of plan out my pages. Whenever I'm printing my photos, I plan what photo is going to go in what slot, so I know what size to print those photos, and I don't just end up with a ton of extra photos sitting around. Now, if you've been watching my videos for a while, or if you haven't, I'll explain it. My Project Life spreads are kind of done on a monthly basis typically. I do a beginning Project Life page, I do an ending Project Life page for the month, and any other inserts or layouts that I do throughout the month go between those ending and beginning pages, or beginning and ending pages rather. Some months I do more Project Life spreads in between, some months I do 12 by 12 layouts, some months I have a couple of different sizes, or I have inserts from, things from school that I want to include in my Project Life, or in my album, my scrapbook album. Now, one thing that is true to my normal style of project lifing is that I use the Design A page protector always for my beginning and end layouts in my Project Life spreads. And I always use the 4x6 slots in the bottom and the top. I put a white piece of cardstock in the back. It kind of helps keep the design cohesive. I feel that it gives me a little bit of white space and makes the page a little less busy, because I have that white border going on. And so I've just decided to fill a lot of these spots with these miscellaneous Project Life cards that I had. I'm using all four, 1, 2, 3. I'm using 3 of the I Am collection ones, and then I'm using a couple other ones. Now, I have found that when you use cut apart cards, they are not actually the right size to fit in a pocket. And I also found in doing this that these basic gray capture ones are not exactly a 3x4 either. So I'm going to, at the very end, end up matting or mounting a few of those on some Project Life cards that I have sitting off to the side of my desk, and they're actually from the Honey collection. You're only going to see a very, very small piece of those, so it really doesn't add to the design element. It's just so that those cards are not floating in the pockets. I wanted to mat them or mount them on a card that actually fits in the pocket. Now I took a couple of those 2x2 squares, and I'm going to use them on the cards for decoration. I cut the bottom photo of myself, I actually cut down to fit in the little Polaroid spot that's on this 4x6 card, and it says, "This is me." And it actually worked out perfectly that I had that picture in this monthly, or in my pile of photos to scrapbook for this month. And I'm looking to see if there's anything else that I can do. I wanted to kind of mount it on something because I trimmed it a little bit too small, and you could see the Polaroid sticking out on the bottom but not on the sides. So I decided just to go ahead and mat it on a piece of white cardstock just to give it a little bit of a border. And I am going to round the corners. I decided to round the corners of the photo, but not of the white mat. And that's going to go right on top. I thought about leaving a small little border at the bottom to cover up the a little bit more of the Polaroid, but it didn't really matter. I just trimmed it down. Now this other 2x2 card had the word today, and it was written on kind of a wood grain background, so I'm using that as a tab that I will stick up under my photo. Now the bottom photo, I have a photo of me on the right, and then of my husband Ernest on the left, and then there's a ton of photos of Kaylin up on the top of the layout. I really try to make sure that Ernest and I are in these layouts because typically I have a ton of pictures of Kaylin and not as many of us. I do have to say that this Project Life spread was one of my favorite ones that I've done in a while. I don't do a ton of Project Life spreads. I really enjoy them, but I just I don't take enough pictures, and so I don't have enough of the everyday pictures to do a lot of Project Life spreads. I'm really trying to make it a point to take more photos so that I could do more Project Life spreads, because I really do enjoy just the scrapbooking process, and I think it's nice to kind of capture the everyday type of photos. Now, I say that, and I was just printing photos for another month to scrapbook, and I have like 300 and some odd pictures for that month, so I may have enough to do a couple Project Life spreads. So keep an eye out. If you are a Project Lifer and like my Project Life videos, keep an eye out, because I'll probably start doing one Project Life spread a week to kind of catch up, since I'm obviously a little behind. I'm on my March 2014 part of my album, and that is really kind of sad. Now this is where I pulled out those Simple Story stickers. I am going to use it on this title card, and that card says I am documenting life, and it has a camera, and I'm just going to kind of embellish this card a bit. I don't have an H in this teal color, so I'm making my own. But that's the only letter that I didn't have. I find it difficult to use these Snap Alphas because there's not enough letters on here, and I usually only can make one or two titles, and then I'm out. I don't have anything else to put. I don't have anything else to use it for. So I was really happy to kind of use it for this layout, even just to be able to make a couple words with it was beneficial, because that's, like I said, it's been sitting in my album not my album, in my stash for a while, and I just haven't used them since I first bought them. I used them a couple times when I first bought them, and then they got stuck in the stash, and I just haven't used them much since then. Now I'm also going to use it to write the word babe, because that's what I call my husband. And I'm going to put it down here. Now I'm going to put it layered over that pink heart that I trimmed out of that 2x2 card. And it's going to be a pink tone-on-tone effect, so it's a little bit difficult. It's a little difficult to read it on camera here, but in person it's very readable. And I have found that those Snap Alphas are not the stickiest, so I tend to try to put a little bit of adhesive on the back of them, just a little bit of my Tombow Mono, just to make sure that they stay, because I don't want things falling down out of my scrapbook, over time. And I just used one of the basic gray capture little arrows. It's a green arrow. I used it under the word babe. And then I'm going to use this little tab on the side that just says memories. And that completes those two bottom cards. Limiting myself to basically 3 sets of things to use in the layout made it very easy to keep the layout colors and kind of theme cohesive, because I'm using the same colors over and over again. Now I did add a few things. I added white cardstock, obviously, for my 4x6 cards. I used a tiny heart punch. I used it as a recollections punch, and I just have a big pile of hearts sitting over in a little container. So I used that on, let's see, I think I used it in 2 places. Yes, 2 places. I used that in 2 places on this layout. I also used my October Afternoon Daily Flash Alphas and Strawberry Ice Cream Shop front, and that's to make one of the titles. And then I used Basic Gray Highline Alpha sticker sheet, and I used that with the October Afternoon Daily Flash Alphas just to make a title on one of the 3x4 cards. I used my corner chomper, as you saw, which I would do on any Project Life spread. And then I used the Project Life Core Kit Honey edition to mount the Basic Gray Capture 3x4 cards on. They're about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch too small. Excuse me. In width. So it's kind of a strange, I don't know what the exact measurements are, but it's just kind of strange because it's slightly too small to use in a Project Life album. Now, I made a really big dent in these basic gray capture embellishments, or the die cuts. I probably used over half of them that came in there, and this is the first time that I have used them, so I was very pleased with myself, actually. And I used a lot of these cards. I cut up a lot of the smaller ones to use for different things, and this is where I cut that card that said something forever, or friends forever, I believe, and I just cut off the forever part, and I'm going to use a heart to cover up a little part where the friends hung down onto that forever part, and then I'm adding a title that says love shoes, so it says forever love shoes, because my child loves shoes, like love shoes. Let's see, this was 2014, so he was just 3.5, and it was ridiculous how much this child already loved shoes. So he actually took this picture himself of his shoes. He was playing with my phone in the car, and he took this picture of himself of his shoes. So I just thought it was kind of funny and thought I'd stick it in there, because that's one of those random bits of information that you'll laugh about later that you just don't think about. So I'm flying right through this layout, honestly. It's just coming together so quickly. The card that I struggle with, though, is the top right card that says enjoying the ride, which is very fitting because he's dancing. Kaylin was dancing in the car as we're driving in his little booster seat. And but it has nothing to do with a bike. So I wanted to cover up the bicycle part as much as I possibly could. And I use a couple little banner things to do that. These are those Highline alphas that I mentioned that I added to the kit, and they're just a very small, thin alpha, and it was just perfect to be able to write shoulders. So Kalen, whenever he was small, that's kind of was his choice method of transportation when we were walking around somewhere, was to ride on Ernest's shoulders. So I have a ton of pictures of him up on my husband's shoulders, and so it's just going to say Daddy's shoulders. And I used another part of that card that was the Friends Forever. I cut a little banner off of it to be able to use that same color on another part of this layout, but also to use up the the scrap pieces. I really try hard not to waste scraps if at all possible. So these 3 cards that you see, the 2 with Kaylin and his show and tell that I haven't worked on yet, and then this one with him on Ernest's shoulders, those are all those basic gray capture cards. So those are the 3 that I'm going to have to mount on a regular Project Life card just to make sure that they fit in the slots in my divided page protector. And that completes that card. Very simple, just a title that says Daddy's Shoulders. All right, these 2 middle photos are of Kaylin showing his show and tell at preschool. They do this every week, and there's different themes for different weeks as to what they bring in. And it's just always so funny because every week, either Wednesday morning or Tuesday night, we have to go through this whole process of picking out what we're going to take for show and tell the next day. I include a couple pictures of this throughout the year just because it's funny to see what he picks. Like he picked a truck one week, and a car the next week. So there's definitely a transportation theme in his show and tell. And that was in 2014. This year in 2015, it's more of a animal theme. So he picks like a different animal each week to take. He has all these little plastic animals like safari animals that we get at Michael's. You know how at Michael's they have the little animal section where it's like sea animals or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of his thing. He pulls those. He loves those things. So we get him a lot. Those were in his stocking. Those were, in his Easter basket. So, and this is right here is where you see me measuring those cards up to some Project Life cards to see how they fit. So this one says Good Times, and I'm putting the photo to the left of that, all the way to the left edge, so you can see that Good Times title. And then it's going to mount on this blue Project Life card. And these die cuts are starting to dwindle, and I'm really excited that I was able to use them. It was the first time I used them, and I use over half of them. That's really kind of unheard of for me because that's not something I typically do. I keep wanting to put something in that camera circle. It's got these beautiful like rainbow styled hearts though, so I don't ever end up covering it up, but I keep trying, and I think it's because I kept feeling like I needed to add more of those basic gray die cuts to the top card just to make sure that it's cohesive with the rest of the spread, but it ends up not being necessary. Now there's this little title that says lovely, and I'm just cutting out the love part of it so it fits right there. And I ran out of adhesive, of course, because that's the perfect time to do it, is when you're in the middle of a page. But I end up switching adhesives because I ran out of the adhesive that I was using, and I use this Elmer's, I think it's Elmer's, yeah, Elmer's Scotch something, whatever. It's adhesive and it's permanent, so I'm using it to put down that lovely. And I end up using the part, or love, and I end up using the LY that I cut off. I use the back of it as a label, and all it says is preschool show and tell time, and that's at the bottom here. And I'm going to add another one of these little hearts up to the top right beside love. And that finishes that card. Now, I had forgot to mount it on a Project Life card, so I'll do that at the end. I'm not 100% sure if I did that on the video or if I did that afterwards, but rest assured it was mounted on a Project Life card, so it will fit perfectly in that pocket. So I'm working on this top right card, and I knew that this was going to be a little bit not quite as simple, so I just moved the other cards out of the way, and I'm going to mount it on this I Am card. So I ended up using all 4 of the I Am collection cards, or 4x6 cards that I had in my stash, and I just wanted that same color. It's kind of a teal color, so I wanted that on this layout. And then I used the part that I cut off as a label. So this is where I'm trying to figure out how to cover up this bike a little bit. And that one kind of bracketed card that I keep moving and putting off says, "You're so wonderful," and it has a thumbs up. And then that heart that you see says, "So delightful," and that's going to layer right under the photo, and it says, "Enjoying the ride." So it says, "So delightful, enjoying the ride." And then this is exactly how the rest of it's going to go. So you can see a little bit of the bicycle, but really not very much. Not enough to really see what it is. And so this little tag that I'm putting down, it's going to say, "Dancing in the car is one of our normal daily activities." And then I'm putting down this little die cut piece that says "Good times." And I'm just going to layer it right off the edge so I can trim off the edge and make it flush to the card, the edge of the card. Now this circle piece that I keep moving around, I'm also going to layer right here on the edge. I wasn't sure if I wanted it under the car or under the label or on top, and I decided to put it on top. So those right there that you see to the side, that's pretty much all that I have left of this embellishment pack. So I'm extremely happy with what I got used out of it, and it will still go in my stash. When I get new products, I put them off to the side. I don't put them with the rest of the stash. That way I can try to use them without having to like search through them, because now I've started storing all my embellishments and die cuts by color, so they don't stay with their original collection. Once I use them, I use as much as I can originally, and then I put them in my stash, and then I have these boxes that are sorted by color. And this is where I realized, okay, I think I need to mount some of these cards on the Project Life cards, so I'm going to get that done. And then I'm going to add a few more stars to that title card. I already put a star in the flash, and then I'm going to add 2 more stars, one up under the word life and one up over the word I am documenting, or the words I am documenting. Now, like I said, I really enjoyed this Grab 3 challenge. So, and that's something that Angela came up with on our Project Life inspiration Facebook page. So if you're looking for a little bit of inspiration for your Project Life, we post our layouts there, and we also are now starting to post a monthly challenge. So if you'd like to check it out, I'll put the link to that Facebook group in the description box of this video, or you can go to my coordinating blog post, and there will definitely be a link there, as well as some close-up photos of this completed layout and the list of the 3 items that I used, plus the few things that I added. But that is it. I am completely done with this layout, just cleaning up a bit, seeing if there's anything else I need to add, and make sure that I did use all 3 items. But thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good day. Bye.